I was like, do I hear a cricket? Do I hear the cricket? But he seems to be over there.
So probably less.
Yeah. He wasn't on last week. I didn't hear him. No Jiminy. A little bit longer. Here we go. Hey, what is up? It is your boy Johnny Mags along with
Daniel Garcia.
and this is another edition of the All Angels podcast for the week of September 14, 2017, live from Halo Haven headquarters here in Riverside, California. Big hello to you people on YouTube. This is a baseball, by the way. It is a baseball. But we're back again for another edition of the podcast. So I've got a lot to get into. We had a lot of viewers. I guess if you guys are watching this on YouTube. We had a lot of listener emails, a good handful of them, and we're going to go over the week in review. We're going to go over, obviously, some things that happened in the last few days. And we had another poll question, so we'll get into that as well. So let's jump into the week in review. Dan, do you have the numbers on the win-loss record for the Angels?
Short week just because they had 2 off days. They're off last Thursday when we record the podcast, and then Monday again. So you're only really looking at Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They dropped 3 of 4, or no, 2 of 3 from Seattle, and then they split so far with the Houston Astros yesterday and today, or yesterday and Tuesday.
Yeah.
So you're looking at like a 2 and 4 or 2 and 3.
And that's not gonna get it done, guys. Usually when we record a podcast, it's on a Thursday, and they've played, 6 games, more or less?
Yeah.
With the 7th game being played when we do the podcast, like they're doing right now. And in all honesty, the Angels need to be in 6 games, maybe 4 and 2, even 5 and 1.
Right.
Because, you know why, guys? You know why? Because Minnesota does not flip and lose a game.
Right.
And you got to play at Minnesota's level or even better to catch them or even bash them. So I hate to say that it was a horrible week, but there was some bright spots.
Right.
If we want to get into it right away, I mean, what was the bright spot for you?
We
Probably
can
the same
go
one.
some of the starting pitching.
Yeah.
I guess starting off with the first Houston game on Tuesday when it was Verlander versus Richards.
Richards.
Richards got up to 5 innings, which you want to see him get extended a little bit, which was great. Five innings, 1 run. 4 strikeouts, but I think more importantly, no walks.
Right.
It was a 1-0 game for everyone that didn't see it, so it was kind of disappointing to where we were talking about it, and I texted you. I think that was probably one of the better pitched games overall by the Angels. This whole season, going from pitching to the bullpen. But you ran into a buzzsaw, Verlander, and they showed why they picked him up, and what they gave up for him was like 3 of their top 10 prospects, and they showed why they wanted him so bad. He was able just to mow down the Angels left and right.
Right.
But Richards, taken away from just Richards' aspect, again getting stretched out to 5 innings, only gave it 1 run. You love seeing that coming on, only off his second start,
especially against a team like Houston too.
Right, exactly. They have a big bat, so that was a plus. And then you follow up with the next day with Skaggs last night, Wednesday night, 7 innings, 3 hits, no runs, 5 strikeouts, and 1 walk. So again, the starting pitching did really well in that game. The offense woke up and were able to give him some kind of support, which was great. So, between Richards and Skaggs, if those guys can continue to build, that'd be a great 1-2 punch for the Angels to use for the stretch run. So, again, Richards maybe next week or next start he'll get stretched out to 6-7 innings maybe.
Right.
Seeing how it goes. But yeah, so I think for the bright spot in that little time period between last podcast and now, I'd say those 2 guys are definitely the bright spots.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree 100%. I mean, with the offense kind of slowed down in a few games. Obviously, I mean, with a guy like Verlander, when he's dealing like that, there's nothing you can do.
Right.
But there was a few games where the Angels the offense didn't come through in situations that they should have. So the obvious bright spots for me is the pitching rotation. Skaggs and Richards really showed up. And I'm gonna just go ahead and read this question that was emailed to us on our podcast email. which is allangelspodcast@gmail.com. And I'm going to read it because it has to do with what we're talking about. This is from Duncan Healy. Duncan says, "Good afternoon. I'm positive you get this question often, so I'll try to change it up a bit. The rotation, the way it is now, can that be a solid rotation moving forward, or has the ship sailed on guys like Richards and Skaggs? Are those two pretty much at their peaks?" Now, I don't know. It's hard to say if they're at their peaks because guys like Richards and Skaggs have been injured so often that it's like we haven't seen what they're capable of doing. But if the last two nights are any indication of what they can do and do it, and if they do that consistently, then the Angels rotation is set not just from now, but in the few years, next 2-3 years down the line. I don't think the ship has sailed yet. I have said before that I'm not going to hold my breath on Richards because it just seems like every time I'm like, cool, we got him, something happens. So it's almost like, what's that saying when you aim low and what is that?
Set your
standards low.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about. That's where I'm at with Richards, where it's like, I'll
expect
take
the worst, or plan for the worst, but expect the best.
Yeah. If just what he did the other night, he pitched great. One run to the Houston Astros, and the way that run scored too. It was a hit up the middle. Guy advanced to second. Next guy got a hit or something.
Yeah,
like that?
it was literally no
sacrifice fly or something like that.
Yeah, it was about like 2 or 3 base hits. Right up the middle, back to back.
With 2 outs.
With 2 outs, yeah. So it wasn't
or whatever it was.
Well, Tuve laid down a perfect bunt to get down the base.
Yeah.
And then the next one went up the middle, and then the one after that, I believe, went up the middle, and that's when Altuve came around and scored.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like he was giving up hard hit balls. He wasn't giving up home runs. He wasn't giving up doubles in the gap or anything like that. It was something that where just, if it goes up the middle, if it's able to go up the box on you, then, you kind of tip your hat and say, all right, you got right to the middle. It wasn't, again, he has such good stuff that it's hard for these guys to get solid contact on his, on his slider, on his fastball when it's moving.
Right.
So, stuff like that happens where, you're going to find a gap. It's just a matter of time. But you just kind of hope in that case where he does have such a great outing that your offense is able to produce, maybe
more than one run.
2 or 3 runs.
Right.
But just from the pitching aspect, if you don't look at the offense or anything like that, it was definitely a bright spot in the week.
It was. So I'm going to read another question because it's all pertains to what we're talking about. I don't want to go back to it. It's from Edward Vizcaino, and he say, "What's up, guys? Found a podcast about my Angels. Yeah, I'm on board." He says, "So obviously it's a sample size, but how impressed were you guys to see Richards' performance the other night? To me, he looked great, looked loose, relaxed. Fastball was moving, slider was nasty. How long before we see him get pushed around 80 to 90 pitches? Skaggs last night looked impressive, especially against a high-powered offense like Houston. Same question, how long before we see him hit the 100 pitch mark?" What do you think, Daniel?
Again, with Richards, hopefully they push him a little bit further to his next start. They haven't come out and said what the cap, what the innings or the pitch count's going to be for Richards' next start. I'm guessing they'll announce something probably within a couple of days before his next one. But I would like to see that same thing we're saying. Like, it would be great to see him go 6-7 innings next week. Depending, if he's giving up runs left and right, then yeah, you probably want to yank him a little bit quicker. But if he's pitching as well as he did his last outing, yeah, we would love to see him go 7 innings, 6 innings. Skaggs last night, 7 innings. I mean, for starting pitching, if you can get 7 innings, yeah, you would love to get a shutout. But the score the way it was, there's no reason to put him out there when you don't need to. I mean, I understand if it was like a 3-0 game, 2-0 game, where it's still, a base hit and a home run can change the whole dynamic of the game. But you didn't have that. So
yeah,
7 innings. I think again, if you were to ask anybody, I'll give you 7 innings guaranteed right now. Yeah, you'll take it no matter what. So I don't think that the distance between Skaggs and the 100 pitch count, pitch counts are great, but you kind of want to see them, if they're efficient and they get through 7 innings, there's no reason to stretch them out right now, especially with the bullpen playing as well as they did. You have some of the guys that have been brought up for the September call-ups
that exact situation.
So they can eat up those last couple of innings when you don't have to worry about it being close. So again, could he have gone longer? Yeah, I'm sure if he wanted to go longer, he could have. But the fact of the matter is he didn't need him to. So, but the Skaggs thing was great. Richards, hopefully you've seen it improve. So, yeah.
To me, I like you said, it's just a matter of the situation. Like you said, if it's a 2-0 game and we need him out there, and he Skaggs is pitching the way he pitched last night, then you keep him in the game.
Right.
And I'm gonna go to the next email question. It's like we're gonna read them off. Like it's all the same kind of question. So this is from Rob Lastings. He said, "Thanks for reading my mail last week. Okay, so here goes. I'm seeing a lot of negativity towards Mike Scioscia, questioning every move. Like for instance, removing Skaggs from the game last night. I feel like it was a good move. Why waste Skaggs bullets, right? What's your guys' take? Obviously, Dan just talked about it. My take on it is, yeah, there's no reason to keep Skaggs in the game. 9-0. The Astros had taken out Jose Altuve already.
Right. I mean, when you have like a mass change where you see the other team kind of, okay, throw up the white flag,
Right.
and it's like, we'll play for tomorrow night, then there's no reason to keep your guy out there. And, something could happen, a ball up the middle, clips his knee, or,
Anything.
like that could
Anything.
happen. Yeah.
He cranks down on a slider and he hurts his elbow because it's the freaking 8th inning and there's no reason for him to be out
Right.
there.
It's just no.
Yeah, if the game was a closer game, then I understand, letting him stay out there and get you another inning.
Yeah, and then going back to he brought the whole social thing, people giving social stuff, but I think that's just been a thing overall for the past 5-6 years about the whole social. Is his time gone? Should they move on? Again, the same thing I tell everybody is look what he's dealing with right now.
Yeah.
It's a makeshift pitching staff for the most of the year. They're finally getting their guys back, finally being able to put a rotation where they probably thought at the beginning of the year this is what was going to happen with Richards, Haney, Skaggs. They probably didn't expect a Bridwell to be up there, but hey, that's a plus. So with the whole Scioscia thing, people just like to look at the wins and losses, and I understand that, but sometimes you have to go a little bit deeper and see why they win, why they lose, what's going on around the situation, not just, oh, they lost, okay, let's fire the guy.
Well, and I'll touch on that with, I understand a lot of the frustration, a lot of the moves that he makes, sometimes they backfire and you're like, why did he do that? Okay, we're fans, that's what we're supposed to do, but, and I'll go back to it, and I've said it a bunch of times on social media networks, I've said it on the podcast before, who are we going to get that's better right now? Unless we buy out the contract of Joe Madden, unless we buy out the contract of Terry Francona, there's nobody better than Mike Scioscia that can take this team to what they're doing right now. Name me a guy that the Angels can get right now, if we fire Mike Scioscia, that'll do a better job. That's within the realm of us getting. Like, who can we get that's going to be better? And I know there's a lot of Scioscia haters that'll say, anybody. But that's not the case, guys. I mean, if we would have had, a guy like Darren Erstad, like a rookie manager, like a lot of people, I've heard names like Darren Erstad, Tim Salmon, these are rookie guys that probably would not be able to handle the situation that was thrown in front of Mike Scioscia at the beginning of the season. Losing all the guys that we lost, losing Mike Trout for a month.
Right.
Puzzling together players on the team, giving a guy like Bridwell a chance, and you got to give Epler a lot of credit for these guys. Bridwell was a guy that Epler went and got off waivers. J.C. Ramirez, well, no, J.C. was already on here, but I'm talking like, what's the guy, David Hernandez, we picked him up. He ended up getting traded, but he was a valuable part of the rotation. Blake Parker, Petit, going out and getting Cameron Maben, who filled in great for the Angels for that period of time when Mike Trout was hurt. But then he also went out and made a trade for Justin Upton, picking up a guy like Brandon Phillips. A lot of praise on my end to not just Mike Scioscia, but Billy Epler. And for some reason, these guys keep getting hate online. And I understand. I mean, each fan has their own set of, their thought process, and that's okay too. But we can't always just look at the negative. You got to look at where we're at right now. And if we didn't have those guys that we have on our team right now and the management behind that team, we wouldn't be where we're at.
Yeah, I mean, kind of like the last thing I'm going to say about the Scioscia for tonight is you look at his Angel career as a manager, this is his 18th year.
That's insane.
Depending on how this season goes, you would hope the Angels would finish above 500. So saying that they do, out of 18 years, he's only finished at 500 or below 5 of those 18 years.
That's
and with the
insane.
With the winning percentage right now for Scioscia at 540, you'll take that. That gives you a chance. You're always kind of in the mix. Yeah, you might have a 74 and 88 season like they did last year, but for every one season of that, you're going to get a 85 win, an 89 win, an 86 win, a 98 win season. So to want to ship him out just because of a small sample size of 3 or 4 games that people don't agree with his moves to the bullpen, or leaving the pitching in there too long, or whatever. To me, it seems just kind of foolish and jumping the gun.
It is, and like I said, fans, we invest our time, our heart, our money into a team. We have every right to be upset, to be happy. Each person is different. Each person is their own fan. I'm not the guy that's out at the stadium going, "Let's go Angels," starting to chant. I'm not a rah-rah guy. I sit there and I watch a game and I cheer when they score a run. But I'm also the same guy that's going to be really pissed when they don't lay down a bunt to sacrifice a guy over. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be there. I'm not a quote-unquote, I'm not going to say it. Never mind. I'm not going to say it. But I'm not that guy. I'm not that fan that just sees rainbows and sunshine all the time either.
And same thing kind of going back to the personnel. If you don't have the personnel to lay down the bunt and sacrifice to do it over, then you can't do it.
Yeah. So it is what it is. So another, I would say this is kind of big news. I think I might have tagged you guys on it, Chris and Daniel. JC Ramirez, slight tear, may require. I think he did the stem cell
thing. He did the
thing.
same thing that I think that Richards did.
Hopefully that worked. That's pretty bad. It sucks. The guy led the team in wins. I think still does.
Yeah.
I think he's never pitched more than what he's pitched this season. Mm-hmm. I don't have numbers in front of me, but JC Ramirez is done for the year, and it seems like Andrew Heaney might be done too for the year, right?
I haven't heard anything about Andrew Heaney. They're kind of playing that one close to the vest.
Right.
But so JC, you hate to see the guy. But the good thing is he is only 29 years old. So worst case scenario, he misses his 30-year-old age season with Tommy John surgery, but that still gives him enough time to get back. And if he wants to be a starter, if they need him as a starter, they can still work him in that starter role. If by then they have the kind of setup they think they're going to have with Haney, Skaggs, Tropiano coming back, Shoemaker coming back next year, then he'll be a great guy to have in the bullpen. But it's unfortunate to hear. Also, Myers was shut down. I think he's going to miss the 18th season also.
Tommy John?
Labrum, shoulder.
Okay.
So, again, with pitchers, you never know how they're going to bounce back or something like that. But with the Angels, you kind of hope you get those pieces back next year and they're able, to knock on wood, stay healthy. So, see how it goes. See how if they're able to bring someone up or get someone a number 4 or 5 starter in free agency, because I think what you're seeing with Richards right now and Skaggs a little bit, they can be maybe a 1-2 guy. Haney can be a 3. You can have competition with Shoemaker and Bridwell for like the 4 and 5 spot.
Right.
So I mean, they have options if everyone stays healthy and going into spring training next year. So it's unfortunate to see, but it's good to know too they have kind of guys waiting.
They got. I mean, Tropiano's coming back. That's one guy that.
I'm still up in the air about that.
Yeah, it's just like, let's see what. I mean, we've talked glimpses of how good he could be, but he's been hurt and we haven't been able to see what he can do. So that's another guy that we have as a backup, okay, this guy can fill in. This guy might be starting the rotation. I think Nolasco, it's still might be under contract next year. So that's another guy that's going to compete for the 5th spot in the rotation.
I mean, you look at, I think people have their mindset about Nolasco as far as like, oh, well, he opened up the season, so he has to be our ace. And look what he's done as an ace. I'm like, he was never supposed to be the ace. He was just a guy that was healthy coming out of spring training pretty much.
Right.
So it's kind of, who do we start? Do we start Nolasco or do we start some guy that we never heard of? So let's just put him out there.
Right.
Because, there's only one opening day start, and it doesn't really matter who does it.
Right.
People are all going to go through the starts and stuff like that. But, Nolasco, if he's your 5th starter, you might take it and just, he's a 5th starter. It happens.
Yeah, people need to get off that he's an ace thing because, I mean, the only reason he started that game was because Richards had gone over his innings pitched in spring training, and look what ended up happening anyway to Gary Richards, He's not the ace of the staff. He's given up a lot of home runs this season, and I understand that. There's been games where he actually came through really well. So,
right.
But there's a lot of inconsistency there.
But that's why you use him as a 5th
guy.
Starter,
A 5th guy can give you 10 wins in a season. That's
You'll
great.
You'll take that. Oh, definitely.
I'll take 10 wins from a 5th starter any day of the week.
Right.
10 wins that's double-digit wins.
Yeah. And it's going back to Andrew. He is supposed to throw a bullpen tomorrow at Angel Stadium. So depending how he reacts to that, they're hoping to get him to start again next week. Again, it's going to depend on how he feels after the bullpen session Friday. So that's a wait and see, because it's just they're saying it's just shoulder impediment. So
Right.
whatever the fancy word.
Little blip
Yeah.
on the road. Okay, so now talking about the offense a little bit, we talked enough about the pitching. A guy that's kind of been coming around is Brandon Phillips. I mean, deja vu yesterday. He had a double down line. I'm like, oh, hopefully he scores. But looks like he's been getting on base. I don't know, I have numbers. You're the numbers guy, but seems like he's been getting hits lately.
Yeah, I mean,
in the last 4 games, 3 games, 4 games.
Yeah, it's kind of up and down. He's only batting 260 right now since he joined the team. But that Tuesday night game, that was his first extra base hit as an Angel, though.
Right.
So I mean, hopefully that's kind of the momentum that pushes him over the top.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, he's average. I mean, he's not doing great. He's like I said, 260 with 275 on base percentage and only 3 RBIs. So he's producing. I think he's more of the glove than the bat right now.
Yeah, saving games with the glove. Upton's producing. Seems like he's been getting an RBI every game almost.
Yeah, 6 RBIs in the last, and since he's joined the team, hit his first home run last night.
Yeah, so that's the kind of production that we need from a guy like Upton. That's what we brought him in for. Bat behind Mike, hit in front of Albert, that scored some runs. Obviously, last couple games until last night, we were kind of, I think they were said on the broadcast on TV, we were averaging about 2 runs per game in the last, I think, 4 or 5 games. I don't know what it was.
Sounds about right.
2 runs per game isn't going to get it done. I don't know. We have a tough schedule in front of us. We talked about it in the last podcast. Houston right now, Texas coming in. Texas, for whatever reason, gives us hell. And then we got Cleveland coming in, who, by the way, won their 22nd straight game tonight. That's insane. And then a team in Chicago that we should kind of handle, but those games kind of scare me as well. So the offense needs to pick it up, get rolling quickly right now. I don't know who your bright spot is as far as offensively in the last 4 or 5 games, or what we need to do offensively. I mean, we need to get on base and score runs, bottom line, take care of opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing is getting on base and having opportunities. But going back to the schedule, you're right. Okay, we got 3 with Texas, 3 with Cleveland, 4 with Chicago, 3 more with Houston. I believe that's at Houston, and then the last 3, Seattle. And then flip over to the Twins schedule. They're in a series right now with the Blue Jays. Then they're playing New York. Then they have not in a row, but I think they have like 4 with Detroit, and then 3 with Cleveland, and then the other 3. So they have 7 total games with Detroit left. And Detroit's not very good. They're, obviously we got Maben, or not Maben. We got Upton. Houston got Verlander. Arizona got JD Martinez. So obviously they're selling people left and right. So again, you look at the remaining schedule for both teams. So the last 16 games, combined winning percentage for the Angels is .523. You look at the Twins, combined winning percentage is .509. So again, that's going to leave the Angels with some work to do with a tougher schedule down the road. You would hope you'll be able to sweep a bad team, Chicago, because again, Texas is hovering right around that 500. They're 1 game below 500 right now, but besides Chicago, everyone they're playing is above 500. So right. Seattle, Houston, Cleveland, Texas is around. Where Twins, Detroit, and the Blue Jays, so that's 10 games right there of teams that are not above 500 or at 500 at all. So again, Angels have to have some work to do in that process. That might be a little harder.
And more than just teams above 500, Seattle and Texas are rivalry games. These guys play us hard all the time. They want to flip and beat us. It seems like we play extra inning games with these guys all the time. Even when we played Oakland, it was like, oh my God, like we're playing Oakland. What the hell is happening right now? But these teams play us rough. You saw the series we played last against Texas was like 2 extra inning games, might have been even 3, and all like 1-run games where we Angels had to come back and win. And I mean, gosh, my heart couldn't take it anymore, and we got to play them again. So now down the line, down the stretch here, this schedule is not easy for the Angels at all by far. Chicago, like I was talking about, those games that we play against teams like Chicago, we should win, seem to scare me a bit because maybe they go in there thinking, we got this, and they end up playing bad.
Right.
And those are teams you need to take care of business with. But in all honesty, that we need, like you said, we need to sweep Chicago, take the series, 3 games, because, like I said before, Minnesota is not freaking losing, and that's the biggest problem the Angels have. They just don't freaking. Every time I see that they won. And then the Padres didn't help us out at all, 16-0, and they walked off. So it's just like, all right, well, what do we get? Nothing the Angels can do there. You got to win your games. You said it before. Take care of business. Aside from that, I don't even know what else to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be again right now as we talk, the Angels are still 2 games out of the wild card. So theoretically, they're going to have to put together some kind of streak. I mean, if they can repeat what they did in around the beginning of August, where they put like 5 or 6 together, they're going to need they're going to have to do something like that to really project themselves into that second playoff spot or wild card spot. So. It's not impossible, but if you were to ask me to bet my rent money on it, I'm probably not going to take that bet. You know what I mean? So, it's possible. I think I saw something on Twitter where their projected percentage of making the playoffs was down to 19%, and last week when we talked,
32%.
Yeah, it was around 32. So, time's running out. You only have so many games left in the season, and now it has that kind of playoffs feel where you're going to have to start winning these games, start winning these series, 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 4 all the way out, because you lose, you're going to lose a spot in the standings, and there's not enough games to make it up in the back end.
Yeah, it just sucks that we don't get a chance to play Minnesota in these next few games, because at least then you pick up 2 games.
Right.
It's just like, let's go. Yeah. But you're looking at the scoreboard watching right now, and I'm sure the Angels are too. They're like, Minnesota won again.
And part of it too is that when they did play Minnesota, they didn't take care of what they needed to take care of, because out of 7 total games against Minnesota, throughout the year, they only won 2 of those. So when you look back at it, if you get a split or even win a series, you might be tied or up on them right now. So you look at those early June, mid July kind of series, and you kind of like, whatever. But sometimes those come back and bite you.
Yeah, I mean, every loss now, you're looking back at it, you're like, we should have won that game. You go look back at early bullpen woes.
Yeah.
But we'll save that for the end of the season, because right now, obviously, we're still in it, 2 games back. Not sure if Minnesota played today or
if
they won.
Played today. They played the Blue Jays. Yeah.
Did they win?
Don't know as of right now, but
wouldn't
put it past them. But
80% chance that they probably did win. So Angels right now, as we're recording, down 2-1.
2-2, bottom 10th for the Twins.
Oh, I'm sure they'll pull it out. Damn Twins. All right. So moving on now. Let's get into the poll question of the week, Daniel.
Yeah, kind of going back to what we were talking about a little while ago was, it's been a couple weeks now since the trade for the Phillips-Upton trade, and it just, Upton's kind of had his issues in the outfield. Watching the game, I believe it was on Sunday, day game, where easy pop fly. I don't know. He said later on that he heard voices or whatever and it fell. So maybe think, looking back at it, how would people feel about the trade now? So it's easy. Do you love it, hate it, or too early to tell? So 71% of people loved it, still love it. 29% of people say, it's still too early to tell. And no one hated it, which I agree. There's no reason to hate it at this point. But I lean more towards it's too early to tell whether or not this is going to work out for the Angels or what. Because for everything that, again, Upton's, batting .268 with a home run and 6 RBIs. He's not a threat on the base paths, which at certain points you would like to have that threat, kind of how Maben was. Not sure Maben would have been doing as good on base wise, but there's a little give and take with everything. I think Phillips is definitely an upgrade at second base. I just I don't think the Upton and Maben splits would be that much different right now if they held on.
I lean towards the love it only because I felt like the Angels did not give up much to get these guys for one, and secondly, um, just a presence that Upton brings in the lineup, like just him being in the lineup alone makes the Angels lineup a viable threat. Like, oh, that makes pitchers think, oh crap, I got to face Upton. They didn't have that with Maven. Now, I loved it too also because you pick up whatever's left on Phillips' contract. He's done. He's gone. Upton, he might be gone.
Yeah, that's gonna be up to him.
Maven would have been gone at the end of the year too. The Angels would have had to have re-signed him. So it's just it was a just win-win on my end. Like they upgraded instantly just going by numbers alone, and they went out and got a bat in Justin Upton that is a threat in the lineup, and if he stays and wants to stay in this opt-in, obviously the Angels wanted him, and I'll take 30 home runs a year and 100 RBIs in our lineup, 280 batter in our lineup any day of the week. So to me, that's a win-win for me. I loved it. They're too early to tell. I get that point of it too because they've only had 2 weeks maybe of us then playing with us. So I get that too. No reason to hate it. What was the percentage again?
71% loved it, 29%
too early to tell. Chris, where were you on the matter?
I loved it actually.
See,
I love that his Twitter handle Dat Dude. I like Dat Dude. I like what he brings to the team. I like his energy. There's something you can't put a number on when it comes to that. Okay. So I think that team needs more personality. You have Albert Pujols, it's kind of boring. You got Cole Calhoun, Simmons, Valbuena. They have a little energy, but I think we need something in once we lost Maben. So
Luis is a bit of a character. Let's talk about what happened last night.
Yes.
Now everybody knows Luis Valbuena bat flips for everything. That's just who he is. Bat flip, right?
Pop fly.
Bat flip. Joey Bats. Luis Valbuena. They should freaking start some kind of like little group. But anyway, last night he hits a home run, smashed it. By the way, I mean that was the hardest ball hit I've heard. Like man, just the sound of the bat was beautiful. And he did this epic bat flip. Now Mike Fierce, whatever his name is, took exception to it, stared him down as he rounded the bases. Next at bat, very first pitch ball just sails right above his head. Got a warning. Next pitch, Luis hit it just as hard. I tweeted. I don't know if you guys read my tweet that I tweeted. Let me get to it real quick because I thought it was pretty. I found it pretty clever. I'm laughing at my own jokes, but I put something like Mike Fierce. Here it is. Where it is. Fierce throws behind Valbuena to prove a point. Yeah, point proven. He hit it just as hard the second time.
Right.
And then you texted me today, or texted us today, and said 5-game suspension for Mike Fierce. Yeah. Now, a little bit harsh. 5 games is a lot. He's a starter, so he's only gonna miss one.
He's not even a starter though.
Really?
He was a spot starter. But like I was talking to Chris earlier, the game, you can see it as a game like, it's only one star, it doesn't mean much, or it's not even a star for him because he's a spot starter. But at the same time, he's still missing 5 game checks. You know what I mean? So, I mean, if you're going to suspend a guy, and was it too hard, was it not too hard? Like, I don't know. I just don't think Major League Baseball is consistent about it because you'll see guys actually get hit with the ball,
right,
and they'll get like 2 games.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then, granted, he threw it over Valbuena's head, but it was like 6 feet over. But when you do something like that, as disrespectful as he did, you've got to send some kind of message. I'm not trying to hit him, but something has to be said. So, some people say because of that, he should be suspended even longer. And to me, I don't think your quotes, whether they're, supporting it or saying, no, I didn't mean to do it, like, it shouldn't matter. Your actions are your actions. So I don't get why people are saying, well, if he came out and said, it slipped, it got away from me, blah, 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 and even though everyone would have known it's BS, he would have got less games. I'm like, it still doesn't change the actions that he did. So that's my kind of thing about it. Like, I don't like the whole beanball bullshit or whatever. I think that's old and outdated, but I just.
What do you think about the bat flipping? Like taking exception
Oh, I
to
don't
the
care
bat
about.
flipping.
You don't want to get bat flipped on, don't give a home run.
That's what
I mean,
Nick Rojas said too. It was
that's
great.
how my thing is
Yeah,
that
don't give up a home
I
run.
think, and you kind of saw it more toward this year, especially this year with the WBC before the season. You saw a lot of those Latin countries, the Venezuelans, the Puerto Ricans, the Dominicans. They have that kind of flair. They have that kind of what Chris was going back to, the personalities. And I think honestly with baseball, and the reasons why they're kind of scuffling with the younger demographic is because there's not a big personality out there.
Yeah.
Everyone agrees inside baseball, Trout's the best player, but he doesn't have personality outwardly to draw people in.
Right.
If you're a baseball fan already, yeah, you're going to pay attention to him. But if you're that casual fan that maybe watches 2 or 3 games per year, there's nothing about Mike Trout that's going to pull you in because of his personality.
Right.
So I think with these little bat flips and able to enjoy the game a little bit more, maybe that helps baseball draw in a younger crowd.
And Luis's bat flips are epic, and like we talked about it, he bat flips for a single up the middle,
Right.
or a dribbler down the line. It's bat flip. It's just Luis's personality. You would think Mike Fierce would know. I mean,
Right,
teammate is.
yeah.
Come on, dude. But what a great way to just pay him back by just smashing
And
the
that's
next
the biggest
ball.
thing too. Is there's no reason. I don't like throwing the beanball because I do think when you do hit a dude, that's kind of is going after him. If that ball, if you try to hit him in the back and it slips and nails him in the jaw, now you're risking the guy's livelihood. That's why I don't like the whole beanball going back at him. If you have a problem with his bat flip, don't give it up.
Yeah.
Don't give it up. And if
Make a good pitch.
Yeah, if you're still mad about it, the next time he comes out, strike him out.
Yeah.
And then when you strike him out, if you want to say a little something, then say a little something. I don't have a problem with that. Maybe that will turn a okay rivalry into a great rivalry.
I like that flair, that passion, little.
Yeah, and you see that with Middleton, especially during that Dodgers series. He struck out. I don't remember if it was Seager or Bellinger, but he struck out one of those guys that he was pumped and they didn't like it. Well, guess what? Put some wood on the ball and get a base hit,
Yeah.
and then you don't have to worry about it. So I think baseball players, just in general, if you look at all the major sports, are kind of the most sensitive when it comes to
The
you showed me
unwritten rules of the game.
Yeah, I think that's kind of old and outdated.
I love that stuff.
Oh.
I would throw at people all day long.
No, you don't want Chris to be the umpire in your game.
We were throwing at people in Pony League when kids were like 13 and 14, getting that signal. So I love that stuff. We have a few things coming in on the Instagram live feed. People are flipping out over Johnny Mag's Palm Springs Angels hat. That's something that we're getting. Andrew R. Austin, 22, says, "Is that a Palm Springs Angels hat?" He hasn't seen one probably since 1992. And where did you score that? Can you answer that real quick?
Yeah, at Hat World in Victoria Gardens in Rancho Cucamonga. I walked in there and immediately saw the LA Angels hat, the one that looks exactly like the Dodgers hat, but with the red A.
Yeah, the PCO.
Yeah, it's a red A. Looks just like the Dodger hat, blue hat. And I went, I need this. I don't care, $36. I'm buying it. Right underneath it, I saw this bad boy, and I went, nope, I need this one. So I bought this one first, Hat World at Victoria Gardens, and then I ended up going back a week later when I got some more money and bought the PCL Angels hat. So I've always had a lot of good compliments on this hat. It's a rare hat, I guess. For those people who are old enough like me and Chris, we remember the Palm Springs Angels and old spring training home of the Angels too.
And just another comment, nothing more than you got a compliment here. Scott Sickles is saying, Scott Sickles says, love that beard. Love that beard. And I think he saw you in Rancho sometime.
Really?
So thank you, Scott, for that positive compliment. We'll take compliments like that all day.
I'll take them all day.
You might need to get some of that beard oil that we promoted at the beginning.
The commercial, you heard it. You go to groomgoon.com and at checkout use discount code CATFISHTHEGOON. You get 15% off your purchase and free shipping within the United States. So how about that? All right, well, we got some fan mail. Here's some fan mail from, he sent us an email last week. And his name is, I think his name is Mike Vigil. It's mvigs218. Hey guys, thanks for reading my email from last week. Considering dropping the series in Seattle, we're still right in the mix. So I've been a longtime fan, and the reason I became an Angels fan was because my dad took me to my first MLB game at Yankee Stadium, okay? And they played the Angels, and one guy smashed 2 home runs in the game, and that guy was Jack Howell. I know that name does not stick out to too many Halo fans, but my question to you guys is, who is your one guy? Now, we are here at Halo Haven, the Curator's Museum of Angel Memorabilia. Curator wanted to share this with you, Mike. Jack Howell gave this to Chris. Chris's first autograph. You see here, God bless. Jack Howell right there. And I'll show it to the people on YouTube. Jack Howell autograph right there. I remember Jack Howell being just a strong dude. So I remember Jack Howell myself. My one guy, my first favorite baseball player ever was Reggie Jackson when I was a little kid, probably 4 or 5 years old. My dad's favorite player was Reggie Jackson. My dad's a Yankee fan, and as soon as Reggie signed with the Angels, he was going to Angels games more than they already were because my mom's an Angels fan. So my dad became more of an Angels fan when Reggie came over, and so my first favorite baseball player was Reggie Jackson. But my one guy has to be Tim Salmon. That's the first guy that I watched his first Major League game, saw his whole career play out, and I watched his final Major League game. Tim Salmon is my one guy, Mr. Angel, Mr. 299 career home runs. Holds almost every Angels offensive record that you could think of, most of them. Just a great guy. Every time I met him, he was more than happy to sign whatever I had for him, stop, take a picture with me. I wore number 15 from the minute I was 12 years old when he made his Major League debut till I played, my last game in college. I wore 15 for everything. So Tim Salmon is my one guy. Daniel?
Yeah, I saw that email come across too, and then it had me start thinking. Younger, I was a baseball fan in general. I wasn't really a Angel fan, Dodger fan, Padre, whatever. Like I was more just it's on, I'm watching it kind of deal. But if you're gonna go, what player that I loved watching as a kid, I would have to go. I know he's not an Angel, but Griffey was definitely when he was playing or when he had that home run derby in Boston. And to me, it's like the fact that you had all these guys come up and they're hitting, and then he comes up, turns the hat backwards, and just the way he swung the bat, how smooth he was. I was like, this guy's awesome.
He's like Trout is now.
Right, exactly. Like for me, it wasn't necessarily I have to pick an Angel. It was like my biggest memory was like, oh, that dude is awesome. I remember, back when they had baseball cards, you would open a pack, you get, okay, this guy, that guy. I remember one time I got a Griffey card, and I was just like, I pretty much just tossed all the rest of it away. And I was like, yeah, look at this, and that. I'm like, that was like, as a kid, that was my biggest kind of like, my biggest, at the time, my biggest memento that I had was a Griffey baseball card. But if you want to go back to like the Angels, I remember as a kid, I didn't go to a lot of games as a kid, but there was one game we went to. We went to the game. It was my mom, my brother, and I, and we went and watched the game, and then we stayed after and tried to get an autograph as the players were going to their parking lot. At the time, I wasn't old enough to recognize faces and stuff like that. I just knew, there's a player, and then when they come out, that's player, that's number whatever. And so when you come out and they're wearing regular street clothes, I'm like, well, I don't know who that is. Yeah. So, my mom, again, with two young kids, calls the guy over. He comes over, she's trying to get him just anyone to sign the front of the program. Well, this guy, she gives him the program. He flips open. I guess he had a picture of him in there, signed it, and, said thank you, and walked away. Well, as I got older, I looked at him, I found it, I'm like, and that ended up being Troy Percival.
Oh, nice.
So, as I got older and I realized, wow, that was so cool, and he stopped, and he took his time, and he signed for us. So, ever since then, him being kind of, a local boy was also really cool, too. So, if it was an Angel, I would definitely say the first guy I was like, wow, that's really cool, was Troy Percival, because at the time, like I said, I didn't know who he was. He just kind of stopped, opened the magazine up, there was a picture of him, like a full-length picture, signed it, and gave it back to us. So, for Angels, I would say my first one was like, oh, that's cool, would be Troy Percival.
Yeah, that's awesome. Chris, you want to chime in on this one?
Dang, this is a hard question. I would have to first say my first Angel that I really liked was Brian Downing, the first time you interviewed me on the All Angels podcast before we teamed up here and had Daniel as a co-host. I talked about Brian Downing. I ran on the Angels bus, and Brian Downing was there on the steps, and I got an autograph from Brian Downing. When I was a kid, though, Tim Salmon, of course, I think he was the Mike Trout of the California Angels at that time. So I always remember him. My favorite non-Angel, and the number I usually wear is, I hate to say this, is Chipper Jones. Chipper Jones was always my favorite player just because he played third base, and I just like the way he played it. He had his socks up, and he played the game
Switch hitter too,
the right way. So
yeah.
I big-time Chipper Jones fan, even though it's a non-Angel, and I hate to admit that, but it is what it is. And I also like Jeff Devannon. I don't know why. I just liked how he played the ball, played the game.
I have a lot of Angel. I mean, you know me enough now, Chris, to know that I have this. My mind works weird. I remember like obscure Angels, and I like guy. It's weird. All it took was maybe one play for me to like a guy. So I had like this fascination with like Rene Gonzalez. Like
Gonzo?
Yeah, like who remembers Rene Gonzalez? Well, I do. Another guy, Luis Polonia, was like my favorite guy before Tim Salmon came up. You know, it was like there was a brief period of time where there was really nobody on the Angels team that was really a superstar, but Luis Polonia was probably the best player on the team. Yeah, Luis Polonia, Junior Felix at the top of your lineup. Von Hayes, you know. But worse than you, I think, my favorite non-Angel baseball player, and he's probably my favorite baseball player aside from any other Angel, is Derek Jeter. My dad's a huge Yankee fan guy. My dad's 75 years old, so he's an older man. There was no Major League Baseball when he was a kid out here. So he would go to PCL Angels games. I have programs my dad gave me that I still have. But he chose a team to listen to on the radio, and it was the Yankees. And when the Dodgers came over, he decided that he wasn't going to be a Dodger fan. He was going to stick to the Yankees. So he's been a Yankee fan his whole life. So, you know, when obviously the Angels weren't in the playoffs in the mid-'90s, the Yankees sure were. And I was a fan. So Derek Jeter is my favorite baseball player aside from.
I remember too, like when I was a kid and we played, Little League. Whatever team I was that year, I was like, yeah, all right. So like I remember one year.
I'm Cal Ripken.
Yeah. One year we were the Marlins. I'm like, oh, I'm Gary Sheffield. Watch me like with the whole exactly. And as a kid, that's what kind of stood out to me. It was like, wow, look how that batting stance or how that swing is different than everyone. So, you know, the Gary Sheffield stood out to me right away, and how he was always had it pointing pretty much back at the pitcher.
Yeah.
So. You know, as a kid, it was like, oh, okay, one year I'm on the Marlins. Oh, yeah, the Marlins. My favorite team's the Marlins. Next year I'm on the Tigers. Okay, my favorite team now is the Tigers kind of deal. So I remember always loving baseball, and then just kind of, whatever players in, is like, yeah. And then not till, when I got older and I was able to follow it better, because it's harder back then because they didn't have the internet. You didn't know what the hell was going on.
You would have to rely on This Week in Baseball.
Newspapers, too.
Yeah.
This Week in Baseball.
So another email that I haven't read yet, and this is from Daniel Ortega. And a quick shout out first. We have a listener, and I read his email earlier, and his name is Duncan Healy. Thank you, Duncan, for listening to us from all the way in Dead Horse, Alaska. That's insane that there's somebody listening to us in Alaska. So Duncan, thank you. This email here is from Daniel Ortega. He says, "Hi guys, great show. Was browsing my iTunes for podcasts and found you. A Angels podcast is right up my alley. So I also looked you guys up on YouTube. What's up if you're looking at us on YouTube? And I love the studio. So is it a museum? Museum like man cave? I would love to see an actual tour of the place. Awesome place. Keep it up, guys. You have a listener in me." So shout out to Daniel Ortega. Yeah, I like to call this a museum. And I gave Chris the nickname the curator because he is a curator of this museum. There's a lot of cool stuff in here that Chris has accumulated, man. And if you're a fan of memorabilia, and especially a fan of the Angels, there's probably something in here for you that you would probably be like, oh, this is amazing. His bobblehead collection is insane. The stadium seats that he has in the corner of the room, and maybe we'll do a podcast from that side of the room later. is something I always wanted that I've never been able to pick up. He's got like 6 of them there. Pretty amazing. There's a lot of cool stuff in here.
Yeah, if you're watching on YouTube or have been watching on YouTube, go back to the ones from the last couple of weeks. You'll see the wallpaper, the Angel Stadium wallpaper from the last ones. And if you're watching this one now, you'll see the lockers with the jerseys.
I was gonna wear this at one time, but it was too hot.
And so, maybe eventually we'll rotate over to where, like John was saying, to the stadium seats. So, eventually, I'm sure, especially going into the next season, we'll do enough podcasts with YouTube as a simulcast that you'll be able to see the whole setup that way. But yeah, definitely feels like a museum with a lot of the older bobbleheads, a lot of the older, little figurines and giveaways, stuff like that. But yeah,
the stadium giveaways to me are like my favorite things because it reminds me of, because there's a lot of stuff that Chris has here that I remember getting as a kid.
And I can't find it now.
Yeah, and you're like, oh man, I had that. And it's crazy because Chris has a lot of stuff here. I have a lot of stuff as well, but this is totally it's crazy. Like,
right.
It's awesome that it's here, and it's, I'm able to come here once a week and be like, oh, this is cool, And so I appreciate Chris. Thank you for doing this, man. This is
and the good news, guys, is as the temperatures start to lower, we might even do a podcast. I'm thinking in the bus.
Yeah.
The bus is something that it's quite legendary. It's never been out on the actual road. Has never been to Angel Stadium, but it's on the side of the house. So you guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Daniel remembers when we first got it and what it looked like. But we're going to do a podcast from inside the bus, and hopefully to do some podcasts actually out on location again, spring training, all sorts of stuff. Oh yeah, on the spot. So looking forward to a whole new season. This is just the beginning. Looking forward to All Angels podcast / Halo Haven Wiffle Ball Tournament. This is something that Daniel and I and also Brian Sherman discussed about a season or two ago, but we're looking to have a charity wiffle ball tournament. Competitive. We talked about evoking memories of childhood. Daniel talked about being on the Marlins, thinking about Gary Sheffield. We're gonna do some epic bat flips out there. We're gonna go yard. We're gonna wear jerseys. We're gonna be big kids. We're gonna eat Big League Chew. We're just gonna have a fun time. So it'll be that's something in the works. We'll let you know more about that. We'll have an ad maybe on one of the upcoming All Angels podcasts.
For sure. That's the wiffle ball tournament is that. Yeah, I'm gonna be imitating a bunch of old. I'm gonna do the Wally Joyner.
Yeah. We might have to get the batting stance guy out here.
I know, right? Yeah, we'll get him over here, man. We'll give him.
I don't know how much he charges, but can't be too much.
Yeah, chip in a few bucks here and there. We'll get him over here. Do a couple of batting stances for us, but. Anyway, other than that, Daniel, anything else you want to touch on real quick?
No, just, we'll be here next Thursday, and that will be the end of the Cleveland series, so we'll see how, that's going to be a big one for the Angels to see, if they get swept, then, that can very easily put them out of it. So it's going to be interesting at this point next week just to see where the Angels are going to be position-wise in the wild card.
Yeah, it's going to kind of tell us where we're headed. But all right, well, that's going to wrap it up for us tonight. Shout out again to Chris Carrier Johnson for
hosting us. Yep.
Shout out to Spreaker.com, Groomgoon.com. But no, iTunes, search All Angels Podcast. Google Play, search All Angels Podcast. YouTube, search All Angels Podcast. Email at allangelspodcast@gmail.com. allangelspodcast@gmail.com. Where can they find us on social media networks?
Halo_Haven is both the Twitter and the Instagram. So Halo_Haven is again both the Instagram and the Twitter handle.
Awesome. So that's going to wrap it up for us tonight. We'll catch you guys next Thursday from the same location, same time. Catch you guys next week. You all have a great rest of the week, and go Halos. Oh, that's what I had monitor on.
Oh, so it's
It was playing, but it just wasn't.
Well, they just took out Middleton. Looked like his form was tightening up on him, so we'll see how that goes. Still 2-1. Twins won.
Wait, what?
Twins won.
Damn it. See? I knew it.